This is Ayurveda Health and Wellness Podcast, where you get to meet the best Ayurveda practitioners so that you can transform your life through Ayurvedic science. Hello and welcome everyone to Ayurveda Health and Wellness Podcast yet again. Today we have Sunita Passi with us. Sunita is an award-winning entrepreneur and acclaimed healer, TEDx speaker, journalist, and author. She's a renowned specialist in Ayurvedic medicine. She is an award-winning skincare entrepreneur, a wellness visionary who has spent 20 years shaping an alternative future for healing and health. As founder and CEO of Tri-Dosha, Ayurvedic training and skincare business, Sunita cuts through the mystic surrounding around the Ayurveda and as world's oldest cohesive approach. Sunita, it's so lovely to have you here, and I'm really sure that our listeners and viewers are going to learn a lot about Ayurveda and through your journey with Ayurveda, which is so long, and and I was just going through your book as well, and it's so amazing. I'm so excited to know more about your journey with Ayurveda, and why you believe in Ayurveda, how it started.
Yeah, well, I think if we look at our modern lives, it's very, very to live, and as humans, there's only so much we can do in a day with our energy, with our life force. In Ayurveda we talk about prana, and pranayama being the extension of that life force. So I actually started off life in journalism, and then I worked abroad for many years, and traveled an awful lot. And traveling is wonderful. As you know yourself, Hitesh, it's the best way to self-develop, to grow. You get to experience so many different cultures, different ways of living, so there's a humility that comes with that as well, in the sense that we start to see that we all, we're all having different experiences. So it was kind of a natural evolution from a personal perspective. So, the first time I tried a yoga class, this is in 1999, I was actually in Canada, living in Vancouver. And friends of mine have said, there's this thing called yoga, these studios are opening up all over the place now. You should try a class. It might really help. And so I found this class, and the studio was overlooking the ocean, and, it was so beautiful experience. And then from there, actually, when I was in Holland, that's when I really started to integrate yoga into my practice. There was an amazing class, in this sort of down this alleyway. You get your bike, cycle to this class, and go down the canals, and then under one of the canals there was this studio that had no windows, and there were these yoga teachers that had created this 90-minute sequence that integrated yoga asanas, integrated incense. We did some chanting, and literally I could feel, the stress in my body. Just, I was getting, more calm and really feeling more energy. And it wasn't until I was in India. I was on a project in India in 2002. And that's when I started to really start to experience Ayurveda. So I started to have Ayurvedic treatments, started off with body treatments. And it just really resonated with me. And I started to understand that actually, when we connect back to nature, ultimately we really start to experience balance. That's progression. And because I was getting such good results, I wanted to understand more, because obviously at the school I'd studied biology, but we never talked about this body-mind connection. It was anatomy in the general sense and physiology in the general sense. So that interest actually led me to then taking a year off. I then stayed in India for a year, and I started off training in the hands-on aspects, which is really, my expertise, in Kerala, southern India. And trained with some wonderful schools, and then went on I guess I was also sort of asking the bigger questions. Why am I here? What's my purpose? Wanted to come back to the UK. And so also went on quite a spiritual journey, which is very healing. And through all of that process, I really feel I developed a deeper understanding of this body-mind connection, what it means, to connect back to nature, but also really understand all the tools that actually keep us in balance and harmony. And how, we don't need to compromise our lifestyles. It's not about going, living, as we did, 50 years ago, very traditional, but being progressive, but also understanding that actually if we take greater responsibility for our own well-being, if we think about some of the things that we can do ourselves, such as regular yoga, such as regular mindfulness or meditation practice, such as, eating right for your body type, all of these things actually really have an impact on our health.
We are so disconnected from nature, and then we are so disconnected from ourselves. We do not understand ourselves, what's going on within ourselves, and that is probably the cause of our 80% of our problems. And probably making the problems which don't even exist. And yoga, Ayurveda, it's so wide, and so it touches so many aspects of your life, and tells you how you can improve those aspects, those part of life. So, from your perspective, what aspect of life or part of life does Ayurveda helped you with? For it could be emotional part, it could be your health as in general. What was it? That
I think for me it was healing. That's where it started for me. That actually we go through life and we have a variety of different experiences, and unless we're actually, I guess, almost cleansing the body, the cells of some of that debris, it sits there. And actually, when we take a step back and we have a look at our health, we're able to make a much more longer commitment actually to some of the things that we're talking about. So actually having a yoga practice or eating healthy and better for ourselves. So definitely for me, it was that healing aspect, and I just really felt, as I went through that process, it was a real wake-up call for me then to actually have a look at all the other aspects and how can I now move forward with this, with this know-how, and also having almost been, detoxed and cleansed from that really, soulful level. So when I started to think about it like that, I started to see that actually, one of the things, if I take a step back, in Ayurveda, when you study Ayurveda, there's a quote, the quote says, a healthy person is one who is established, content, and balanced in the self, which is all about wholeness, it's all about totality. It's a very, very simple quote, but actually when you break it down, as you say, most of us are not living like that in modern life. We're bombarded with social media, we're bombarded with narratives, we're bombarded with television, all of these things that actually take our energy outside of us. And I guess Ayurveda, it's when we I think now is really a perfect time to actually look at what that means, this ancient system, but through a new lens. And when you start to think about it like that, you can start to fall in love with almost a new vision of health. And when you start to think about that new vision of health, it will help you create new habits, because actually you want to have your energy, you want to feel positive and energized and not be walking a path that's potentially taking you to illness or ailments. So there's so many strategies that we can do to stay healthy. But first, it starts with really, I think, taking that step back and actually having a look at how you're living your life, and is it aligned to this self-love, this self-care, this wholeness? Are you actually looking after yourself from that perspective? But I think also when I first sort of started training in Ayurveda, I was that typical practitioner that became very purist. And it was, you've got to do it like this, and you've totally got to know your dosha, and I'm not at all that person now, because that's not what it's about. It's a flow of energy. Some weeks you're going to feel like this, other weeks you're going to feel like this. That's life. We're in ebb and flow. Life is happening, and that's okay. When we think about some of these things as well, it's also being realistic, actually, and thinking, what kind of program maybe can we put together ourselves? And if you feel that you need some help, that's okay, seek it, because there's plenty of great practitioners and therapists, Ayurvedic therapists, who will also support and mentor you to help you, have a look at your lifestyle and put a program together that really suits you. But this kind of purist idea of completely knowing your dosha and having to follow every step exactly like that, that's not my message. More than anything, it's more to do with really taking a step back, have a look at everything, see where you're at, take a deep breath, and then really commit to consistency, commit to discipline, because this is really what's going to get you the results. And enjoying it, it's so important, the joy element, it's so important. Because again, that's also one of the things that steers us forward, that keeps us on the path.
It's not a rigid practice, that this is what you have to do, and this is how everyone should live their life. It's different for everyone. That's why doshas come in, because every body is different, every person is different, and how you go about your lifestyle, it's entirely up to you. You can still go on and follow the Ayurvedic practice that are good for your kind of personality or your kind of body. That's one of the most beautiful part of Ayurvedic practice, I would say. So Sunita, still Ayurveda is growing now. People are getting to know about it. But it is sort of an exotic practice for so many people, because obviously it's a different kind of lifestyle. How for our listeners and viewers who are trying to kind of know more about Ayurveda, start their journey, with Ayurveda. You are such a, experienced professional of Ayurveda. Can you suggest some step forward for them, how they can start their journey without being, overwhelmed with the practice which they are not, they don't know about?
So I think the first thing is to just give it direction. So when we talk about Ayurveda, it's a number of different tools. It's a wellness system, and it's an ancient, Indian healing system. So if I just very simply break that down, the first step is nutrition. So having a look at your nutrition, and absolutely there are guidelines according to your body type, your unique body type. You can also look at the herbs. So herbs is another area that's also very transformative, and you can start to consider what are the herbs that you're cooking with, what are the herbs that you're in your kitchen. But even if you have a cough or you have a cold, or you've got an upset stomach, have you got those Ayurvedic herbs, in your kitchen that will help you? And then, once we've got that side, nailed that side, as it were, then you can start to think about the energy-based tools. So this is when we start to look at the yoga. This is when we start to look at the meditation. This is even when we start to look at tantra. So taking it just that little step further in the sense of self-awareness, and actually how we're having that connection with our soul. So that's when we start to go deeper into the body. And also another practice that I would say is worth looking at is self-massage. So in Ayurveda, we have a system called dinacharya, which is basically the daily routine. And, if you like things laid out as a system, then certainly Dinacharya gives you a system for Vata, for Pitta, for Kapha. And you can follow that, as a daily ritual. It's a self-care practice. It's a daily ritual. And that's a good place to start. So when we really keep it simple and we just think, okay, let me have a look at my diet first. Let me have a look at my nutrition. What kind of meal plan is more suitable for my constitution? Let me have a look at the herbs in my kitchen and see actually what am I cooking with, and actually what can I be keeping in my kitchen? Should myself or someone in my family not feel well, what should I have here? Then moving into, like I say, into the experiences in the body, and also things will come up, emotions come up, worry, anxiety, fear. They're still there. These things are there for everyone. But what you'll find is the more you commit to the regular practice, on a daily basis, you'll start to feel that you gain the benefits. So this is the place to start. Yeah, this is the place to start, keeping it very, very simple. And also, actually, Hitesh, what I can do for your audience, introducing Ayurveda course. It's a pre-recorded course, so I can send you that link. And that's 8 sessions, and it just means that your audience can watch those sessions.
That answers my question. You can go there and probably, that would be one of the best way how to get into Ayurveda and start your journey with Ayurveda. So thank you, Sunita, for that.
That's okay. And I guess I should also mention that my book has just launched as well. So that's another thing. This is it's on our website now, and this also is packed full of information. You've got a whole chapter on the NHS.
That's
an overview of the NHS, and actually a bit tongue in cheek, but how Ayurveda can help there.
When you think of it, as I always say, NHS is of course public funded body. It's government funded. It's our hard-earned money that we obviously, you don't want more patients there. You want more people to be healthy in the country so that there are less patients there, and you have to invest less money there. And Ayurveda as a healthcare system is about, preventive measures, and not, of course it's about cure as well, but it's mostly about, more about a preventive measure, how you can be healthy and then, you don't have to be patient. So I'm very much fascinated by this aspect of using this such a great wisdom and knowledge of Ayurveda with NHS.
Prevention is better than cure. If Ayurveda is a lifestyle medicine. If you're considering the way that you live your life, if you're considering your day-to-day routine, if you're considering your nutrition, what you're eating, what you're drinking, dietary needs are very much linked into your health. That's really the core of it. You'll start to see again that that you have the tools there. It's us to think about taking more responsibility for our well-being. And I think, in the West, we've become, over the last 20 or 30 years, we've almost handed our authority over. We're kind of like, we've got so many fast food chains all around us. I was driving to my parents the other day, and the phone shop was closed down, and there's a big donut shop there now. And I thought, gosh, this is tough on people because they've got all of this all around them. Where are all the healthy nutrition shops? Where are all? So I was thinking that, and I think we have to really take greater responsibility. That's what it comes down to. But also that means education. It also means thinking about the issues of the people in our lives as well. How can we be more supportive for them as well? And really just, Hitesh, to add to this, in 2018, and I talk about this in my book, but there was a study by the Johns Hopkins Institute, and this was, what they were doing was rating the medical system in America, and they actually showed that the third largest cause of hospital deaths is actually the overuse of medication, or misprescribing. So Ayurveda it's considered a complementary health system, still considered an alternative healthcare system. And like you say, yes, it's not maybe quite in the mainstream yet, but actually it has a huge range of choices for you to take responsibility for your own well-being. Plenty of tools there for you to consider what you can do yourself, how you can maintain your health, how you can prevent disease, and also, from just in the sense of our own evolution, our own spiritual evolution. There's so much information there, so much information that helps us actually plug into the higher concepts of life, what it means to be living, to be breathing, and all of these things give you focus. They give you focus and they empower you. This empowers you. I think that's really one of the things that I want to do with my book and also, with the courses, is to really get people to feel empowered about their health. And that has to be the greatest message. It really does. That if you feel empowered, you will absolutely take steps, on the side of prevention rather than cure.
As you said, it's about empowering the people, which is kind of, non-existent these days. Anything you have, you just don't have any options because you do not have knowledge about any other options and being available. That's where Ayurveda comes in. With so much wisdom, as you said, you can have the herbs, you can have the remedies at your home. That's homemade remedies. So what better than that? Because it's also about economics and finance. How everyone can't afford the medicines.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've just come out of a pretty challenging time. So most people also will have been earning less if they've been furloughed or they weren't at work. So yeah, and many of my training programs, we had traditional training, where that concept was shared with us. The reality of that is in modern time, traditionally there would have been an exchange. So if somebody was a healer, they would have exchanged their services for maybe food. So if somebody was a healer, they would have exchanged their services for maybe food and board, or, so we don't live in those times now. So they all have, ultimately that's how we pay our bills. But what you said, that's correct. It's where it's coming from. So we are in service. We are in service, and that's what's really important to understand. The doctor won't see you now. Stay healthy while the medical system is rebooted. Launched 2 days ago, available now. So it's on our website, and it will be available on Amazon and all online book platforms by the end of next week.
Who is looking to learn Ayurveda, they must go and read your book. Definitely you have put in your 20 years of experience of Ayurveda in very comprehensive and easy way to understand there, which is again about empowering people, and when you read it, you can I could feel like that is what you are trying to do here, and it's so amazing. So Sunita, thanks a lot for your time and for explaining your journey and telling us, giving us valuable information and knowledge about Ayurveda as practice. And I am very sure, we can have more podcasts like this in future, because, the knowledge is so huge and, so old. It's we can just go on with sharing this knowledge with more and more people.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed our podcast. Do not forget to follow us or subscribe. This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Towels, bringing Ayurvedic dyeing to the modern world.